Good morning, it is October 26th. I am still at Red Rock Canyon and this is my second hike. Now I am doing the Calico Tanks Trail. It's 1.1 mile one way. The trailhead is very crowded, but we'll see how it gets later on in the trail. It's kind of a fun game dodging people. I just love all the different colors that are possible in these rocks. After the sin of Achan had been dealt with, God told Joshua not to be afraid or dismayed, and to take all the men of war with him and go to Ai. God promised to give him the king of Ai, his city, his people, and his land. They were to do the same as they did with Jericho, only this time they were allowed to take the spoil and the cattle as booty for themselves. And they were to lay an ambush for the city behind it. So Joshua chose 5,000 men for the ambush, and they got into position in the night. Oh, got sand walking. Now this sand on this rock makes it slippery a bit. Joshua and all the other warriors went in front of the city and lured them out and starting to flee so that the people of Ai would follow them. Then, when all of the men were out of the city, the Lord had Joshua stretch out his spear toward Ai, and that was the signal for the ambush guys to take action. They took the city and set it on fire, and all pandemonium took place for the people of Ai. They took alive the king of Ai to Joshua, and then he killed him and hung him on a tree. Hanging up the body of someone who had been put to death was to shame the person. Jesus was suspended on a tree to show that he bore the curse of our sin. I'm so glad that I have good grip shoes. Oh, which way? This way. An arch. So cool. Okay, I lied. I am having to dodge people, sadly. They were already here. But this is sure getting technical. Whew. Grateful for stairs. Whoa. It keeps going and going and going. 1.1 miles is longer than it seems. In the flush of victory at Ai, it would seem militarily wise for Israel to press immediately forward in the conquest of Canaan. But there was a more important work that must take priority: the spiritual duty of renewing their covenant loyalty to God at Shechem, in fulfillment of God's instructions to Moses. In the last instructions given by Moses, direction had been twice given for the convocation of all the tribes upon Mount Ebal and Gerizim for the solemn recognition of the law of God. The place appointed for this solemn service was one already sacred in its association with the history of their fathers. It was here that Abraham raised his first altar to Jehovah in the land of Canaan. Here, both Abraham and Jacob had pitched their tents. Here, Jacob bought the field in which the tribes were to bury the body of Joseph. And here also was the well that Jacob had dug, and the oak under which he had buried the idolatrous images of his household. I wonder if I'm finally getting to the tank. Oh, yep. There it is. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, this is incredible, and I had to wait and wait and wait until I was the only one here. I met a couple of ladies that said I needed to go past the tank, so I'm gonna hope they're not pulling my leg. Looks like there is a bit of a way to go. Okay, yeah, this was worth the climb. There's Sin City. Not that that's anything spectacular, but neat view. Yeah, so I hope you appreciate this bonus footage I got for you. It's windy on this side. Smoggy over Las Vegas. Here's a bird's eye view of the tank. Man, it makes you want to go swimming. It's pretty warm out. Beautiful going back too. The spot chosen was one of the most beautiful in all Palestine and worthy to be the theater where this grand and impressive scene was to be enacted. Mount Ebal and Gerizim are on the opposite sides of a narrow valley so that every word spoken would be distinctly audible. A monument was built, and upon the stones they engraved the law of God. And beside the monument an altar was made, and they offered sacrifices unto the Lord. This was done on Mount Ebal, the mountain upon which the curse was put. So Joshua stood by the ark in the valley between the two mountains, and read the blessings that were to follow obedience to God's law to the people on Mount Gerizim. You see, the people were divided in half on Gerizim and half on Ebal. He then read the curses to the people on Mount Ebal. Israel had received the law directly from the mouth of God at Sinai, and the stones that were written by God's own hand were inside the Ark of the Covenant that were with the people at all times. Now it had again been written, this time by Joshua, on the stones so that all could read it. All were to signify their acceptance of the terms of the covenant and give their assent for the blessings or cursings of its observance or neglect. Every 7th year, the whole law was to be read in the assembly of all Israel as Moses commanded. It was obviously a very important and sacred event. I feel like greater attention should be given by the religious teachers to instructing people in the facts and lessons of Bible history and the warnings and requirements of the Lord. Just like the people of Israel were led by the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night, so God's word should guide us daily. Little bit hazy, but just spectacular, eh? The healing hiker rating for this Calico Tank Trail and beyond is a 5 out of 5, although I wouldn't recommend it for short people, really. There was some long boulder stretches, but it was so fun. Joshua reading God's law to all the people, including the women, children, and strangers, must have been a very important, momentous occasion. We too should read and listen to God's word, as he will surely lead us through this life's journey and for any battles we have to face.